Vincent raised. The ER new grad was so incredibly difficult, still unhappy with where I was. I had the hardest time figuring out how to open this, so I used a knife. But this probably works a lot better because that way I don't have to plug it and unplug it. I don't know how I feel about this yet because I don't know how I should string these lights, but I could string them along here. I still don't know if I love this hat or not. What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jasmine. I have been an RN for 2 years now. I graduated in August of 2019 and I started working in October of 2019. And I started as an ER nurse. But today I wanted to talk to you about my RN journey. I know a lot of you probably watched that really low-key, kind of sad, embarrassing video of me being so blatantly depressed at my very first nursing job. And I know that it actually helped a lot of people, which is why I didn't take it down even though it's super embarrassing. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about my RN journey because I honestly haven't been able to ever since I filmed that video. I never make any more updates because it was a little bit embarrassing. But yeah, so I have been an RN since September is when I passed my board. So August of 2019, I had graduated from my BSN program. I had taken my boards in September and I started working in my ER nursing residency in October of 2019. So I stayed at that job until December of 2020. December of 2020, I had transitioned to a different hospital. First off, let me talk about my first job. I know that most of my videos I had made during that time, and I wasn't in the best place ever. So when I had taken that job, it came all very fast. I had done my preceptorship that same year, but I had done my preceptorship in the ICU. I was still very familiar with, you know, like the charting system, the way things were run there. So that's why I transitioned to the ER, and I probably got the position in the ER because of the fact that I had done my preceptorship there. It is like a point-based system, a lot of the new grad programs. So when I started working there, the learning curve for that ER was insane. It was also a stroke receiving center, so we did a lot of strokes. We were also STEMI receiving because we had a cath lab. The pace of the ER is not for everyone. I think as an individual, I am always the type of person to be wanting something new, so in some ways it did suit me, but I think it was hard for me I think it's hard for anybody, because even though it suited my personality and learning new things and having different patients and having this constant revolving door, which is obviously, if you kind of watch my videos, you can tell that I don't like to stay in one place. So let me tell you the ratio. It's 4-to-1 in the ER, and sometimes when you are in the ER, you can get a patient who gets deemed a med-surg patient or even a telemetry patient, but can quickly escalate to becoming an ICU patient. So let me give you an example. So someone who comes in as a stable post-surgical patient can quickly become septic, which is a big infection, which first of all you have to figure out where the infection is coming from, and if it's a surgical patient you probably know where it's coming from. It's coming from the surgical site. But when you become septic, a lot of times your pressure can start tanking, and when your pressure starts to tank, a lot of the times what doctors love to do is, for a pressure of 70 over 36, they would love to treat it with 2,000 liters of fluids. So So you sit on that and you wait, and yeah, it'll bump it up to like into the 90s, fine, whatever. But that's not very, it's just not sustainable. So eventually these people get put on pressors, and pressors are an ICU medication. So if you're on Levophed, you're an ICU patient, and if it's titratable, like, you need to watch their pressure constantly, and this patient could tank at any time. They may need to be, yeah, anyway, it can escalate very quickly in the ER, and being an ER new grad was so incredibly difficult for me. Even me being the individual where I like to think that I'm a quick learner and that I love fast-paced change, but I don't love it all the time. And that's what I've learned as an individual working in the ER, which is why I transitioned from working full-time in the ER to working per diem, because I don't think it's a sustainable lifestyle personally for me, because I would be stressed out every single day of my life, from my days off, from the night after. I couldn't sleep. I was on night shift. I transitioned into mid shift, and that helped a little bit, but I was still unhappy with where I was. And I think taking that step and really stepping back and saying, hey, like, I'm not happy with where I was, and this was in the midst of the pandemic. Let me remind you that I was trained in October until, I want to say, like, end of December, and I did not feel ready to be on my own at all. I think I had less than 12 weeks. I think either 10 or 12 weeks of training in the ER when I was a new grad, and I did not feel ready to be on my own. But of course, amidst the pandemic, I was thrown in during flu season in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and it was absolutely horrifying. And I think I downplayed it a lot in my videos and talking to my friends, talking to my family about it, and I would say that I was fine, but I was not fine. I was anything but fine. And I think making that video really was the most transparent I ever was with anybody, because it genuinely was very difficult. And I think so many new grads downplay the amount of like stress it is your first year nursing, and I'm glad it really reached so many people to help people bring more awareness that it's okay to feel that way, but to feel that way forever is just not sustainable. So yeah, I had tried to step away from the ER quite a few times. Throughout my time of being an ER nurse, don't let anyone tell you that 3 days isn't enough of working. 36 hours is plenty for a week. But me being the overachiever, annoying ass that I am, I did take up a few jobs in addition to that. So I was a flu vaccinator before, which was super nice, super flexible, but I would be on mid shift and I would be getting home at 3 a.m. and then I would be vaccinating for the flu at like 8:30 in the morning. That wasn't like the best for my sleep schedule, probably not the best for my mental health, but it was a chill job, and that's all I really wanted at the time. I told you all that I was going to discuss rates in this, and I will tell you, as a flu vaccinator, because I was experienced, they said I would get $30 an hour. It was super chill. All I did was vaccinate the people, and then they'd be on their way. It was me going to like corporate places. Like I remember I went to like Epson, which is like a printer company, and I would vaccinate those people. I remember I vaccinated the corporate people of Trader Joe's, which was really cool and super nice because they gave us like a little bag. Another job that I had was post-op patients, which was just, they were sent home and I was just helping them, you know, transition. People would get like eyelid surgery, people would get like, someone had like tennis elbow surgery and they just like couldn't move their arm. So I felt more like a maid than anything in that job. So I didn't love that job. I will flat out tell you that I made a little bit more at that job. I made $36 an hour, which was okay, but it wasn't my favorite job ever because of the amount of driving for one, I was a chauffeur for the patient. You drive them wherever they need to go, especially if they have eyelid surgery, you have to drive them. And that's on your miles, and that really bothered me. Another thing was, it was actually in LA, and I remember one day it took me an hour to get home because of traffic. And that's why I quit that job, because it was too much. And demand for that job was I don't know, I just didn't love it. It's not for everybody. I think it was interesting to see, because these are like the super rich people who are hiring their like maids. You're basically a glorified maid for $36 an hour. From there, what else did I do? I did like peri-op / pre-op at this pre-op / PACU in this small outpatient clinic. That was actually super nice. The people there were so genuine and I love them so much, but it was way too low, and they had paper charting, which I absolutely detest. Yeah, if they had regular charting, I probably would have been okay with that job, but it was just like, I hated the paperwork. Basically all I did there was just start their IV, get some vitals, and then they would go in to get like their pain shot or whatever, and then you just monitor them afterwards, because sometimes they would get some anesthesia. But that was really cool. I liked doing that, but they were only paying me like $32 an hour, and I was like, oh, that's way too low for me to be doing all this paperwork. Again, I felt more like I was like a receptionist who started IVs. So yeah, there was that job as well. These are all jobs that I had retained while I was doing ER nursing. I look back and I'm like, I don't know how I dealt with the stress of being an ER nurse on top of keeping these like per diem jobs. What else did I do? I think that's it. I did a lot of like random per diem jobs just because I was trying so hard to transition out of ER nursing. But from there, I finally got a job, a much higher paying job than the ER nurse job that I was working at. So I don't really feel comfortable telling you my exact rate because this is my current job, but I will flat out tell you that I make essentially double what I made when I was a new grad nurse. But let me tell you, this is because I am per diem, and because I'm 24, I don't need the benefits. Therefore, I can still be under my mom and get a 20% higher rate than the full-time employees who have full-time and benefits. So 10 out of 10 recommend going per diem if you can from the time you graduate until you're 26, so that you're able to get the highest pay rate. And that's just something that I had like looked up when I had transition jobs. So I don't think I ever mentioned, yeah, so I make significantly more than what I was making, which is quite funny because when I was working at my first job, they were only giving us, like at my 1 year mark, they gave us like an 11-cent raise. And I was like, oh wow. But I should have been like, are you serious? Like, I don't know why I thought that was okay, because it's not. But the reason why my job is, I feel like, a little bit more sustainable now than it was before was, one, that I'm per diem, two, because the patient ratio is 3 to 1 in the ER, and we just have a lot more resources. So yeah, I'm not gonna say that the job in the ER that I'm working at currently now is totally stress-free, because it's not, which is why I'm here on this travel assignment. But it wasn't until August 2021, that's when I had applied for my travel assignment, And initially I was gonna go up to Santa Clara, but I'm glad I didn't because I love San Diego and I think it's a close enough assignment where people can visit me and it helps me transition into living on my own without being impossibly far from everybody that I know. So I started in September and it's only a 13-week contract. Mind you, these contracts can last anywhere. I've seen the shortest as 4 weeks, and you can continue to extend until I think 1 year, and anything past 1 year is considered like, you should be considered as like a travel nurse. So yeah, if you want me to talk a little bit more about travel nursing, pay packages, stipends, all of that good jazz, I will make a separate video on that. But yeah, so I am gonna go back to my per diem job in December after this, and then from there I'm either gonna take a vacation or I am going to I don't know, I am in school currently, so maybe if I need to focus on school I'll do that. But that's the joys of travel nursing. You really get to pick and choose where and what you want to do, so it's cool in that sense. But that is currently my 2 year of nursing, and I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned within my 2 years of nursing is the fact that nursing is very lucrative. It has endless possibilities. If you don't like where you are, you can transfer to a different hospital, to a different unit, to a different specialty. And nursing doesn't just start and end at your first job. So I wish someone had told me that when I had first started, because I was so depressed my first like 3 months of nursing. But I hope this video serves as a reminder for all of you who are struggling during your first new grad experience, and hopefully this inspires you to take that leap of faith, to look into other specialties if you're not happy, to look into that travel nursing job after your 1 to 2 year mark. But that's going to be the end of this video. If you have any other questions, shoot them down in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on my social media at Jez the Nurse, and I will see you guys in the next video.